wherever you are. This is another auction review. This time we're looking at a 1997 Jeep Cherokee Sport. This one is also in Bring a Trailer. This one stood out for a number of reasons. Number one, this bright color. It's a very, very bright blue. A lot of modifications, quite obvious at first glance here. The color looks like it's pretty close to the bright jade satin glow that Jeep offered. Although for some reason it looks a little more bluish to me, but it might just be the photos. We'll take a closer look in a second. But if this is a sport, if it actually began life, then it shouldn't have had color-matched bumpers. It should have been black for the 97 model year. And they were both black, the bumpers and the bumper ends that year. The side molding is missing along the doors and the side there. And the fender flares have also been painted to match. That would not have been a sport thing. The wheels are incorrect. These are from a Wrangler. They were part of what they call the 30-inch wheel and tire package on the TJs. This antenna is not correct. And we've got some aftermarket lighting up front here. And also this extra badging. That's all the stuff that stands out quickly. All right, let's have a look here. So it's interesting. Not many miles on it, 59,000. That's probably the reason they accepted it here. That and the interesting color. The six-cylinder was the engine of choice on the Sport in 1997. You couldn't get a Sport without it. It has the 4-speed automatic, which was an option, the command track transfer case, which is the part-time transfer case, the basic unit. Bright jade paint is what they're listing here. They don't quite have it by the right name, but it's close. They call it bright jade satin glow. Mist gray cloth, that's correct. Pardon me. 15-inch TJ wheels, that is correct. They're painted black. That was not correct from the factory, but they've been repainted. LED headlights, cassette stereo, cruise control, clean Carfax, private party selling it in Urbandale, Iowa. So Iowa is definitely a concern for rust. Let's see here. It was with one owner in Iowa until 2023. Presumably that's when the seller got it. Actually, no, that's not true. I can see down here. So it's finished in bright jade over gray cloth. It was repainted after it was acquired by the seller in February of this year. We also did brake service, 4x4, drivetrain services. We'll see what all that entails. Everything else here, interesting thing to list, power back and pinion steering. That was standard at this point on the XJ power steering. 15-inch alloy wheels, LED headlights, and a cassette stereo. So it's an odd list of features. Clean Carfax, clean Iowa title. So 97 was the facelift model here, the first and only time they actually got a big cosmetic update. So let's see here. Rust repairs completed on the right front fender. Alright, so we're already talking about rust. Rear quarter panel and the tailgate before it was refinished, at which time its body color was extended to the bumpers and wheel arch extensions. And the windshield and front windows are tinted. I didn't notice the windshield was tinted. That is illegal in some places, so be careful. I do see the front windows. Here's front side windows. Don't quite match. They look like a little bit different shade. 15-inch wheels have Goodyear Wrangler Trail Runner AT tires. I think that's kind of like a mid-level version in the Goodyear lineup, if not an entry-level. Still nice to see. They replaced the steering stabilizer, the track bar, front stabilizer bar links, and front shocks, as well as the rear brake drums, shoes, and wheel cylinders. So interesting mix of things that were done there. That's all good stuff. I wouldn't say no to any of it. We'll see what quality components. Here's the interior. Yep, we can see those mist gray seats. I believe that was a 97 and 98 only color. 99 they went to the agate gray that continued through 01. That might have been what they called the color in 96. Might have been the same name, but it did have different, very different interiors. So it notes it has a 4-speaker sound system. That was the standard setup with a cassette stereo. The headliner was replaced, and the air conditioning refrigerant was recharged. Alright, we're looking at the dashboard here. I do see that stock cassette stereo. This has cruise control with the up-level steering wheel on it here. It has manual windows, which were crank windows were standard on the 97s. I believe by 98 they were made. Power windows were standard on the Sport. I might be slightly wrong on that, but I believe that's correct. Otherwise, everything I see looks pretty good. 59,000 miles, 500 of which added by the seller. We have a very clean-looking underhood shot here. The stickers look like they're in great shape. These are always a sign of mileage on these vehicles. This looks great. See some red spark plug pliers, so something's been done there. No ABS. I'm sure we'll get a better picture. Let's see, the front differential transmission cooler hoses. So this one has a transmission cooler. Spark plugs, ignition wires, distributor cap and rotor, engine oil, and transmission fluid were replaced in 2024, according to the seller. So I'm guessing there was a transmission leak. Here's the underside. Actually, this looks... no, I take that back. There's a fair amount of rust here. I'm looking at the new bits, like the track bar. You see that stabilizer bar back there. The end links. Those are really stand in contrast to all the parts that are a bit rusty underneath here. Let's look at this Carfax. 3 owners. 48,000 miles is the last time, so we'll see what that says here. First owner had it for the majority of the time here, then 2 short-term owners here. All of it in Iowa. In Des Moines, which is definitely a place where we worry about rust. In the first almost 4 years here, 5,600 miles. This is always going to be a low-mile vehicle, it looks like. Not much information here, other than periodic renewals. A service, this is almost 14 years ago now, so we can kind of skim these. At least they were consistent with their servicing. They actually did a fair amount of extra stuff. Interesting here that the muffler was replaced, and the vehicle was 14 years old with 31,000 miles, which definitely says it was driven in winter. I'm not sure what ride height system repaired and adjusted is. That could have just been a generic thing somebody typed in. Steering damper was replaced. That was just done too. There's a lot of stuff that was done a long time ago, and a lot of it has been done since, which is interesting given the low miles. Very consistent with the service. Catalytic converter was replaced at 35,000 miles. Wow. It has to have been due to rust. It's not, it would be a serious running issue. Let's see here. Still, all of it was at the same place. Given how much was done here, you probably could call this Car X Tire and Auto and get these actual receipts. They might be willing to give them to you. Another exhaust check. Let's see here. Here's another new owner in Iowa. And here's the current owner in March of this year. Alright, let's go through. There's a video here. I'll watch it and see if there's anything interesting. So we have 98 photos. This won't take too long. Yep, so we see the paint. We see somebody's added a generic sport badge here. These are aftermarket lights here on the header panel. Aftermarket here, aftermarket here. The black Gorilla is correct for 97. This badge on the hood is not correct. It looks nice though. I do see a dent in the door. I would have had that fixed before I painted it. It's not that hard to get to. These door panels are easy to remove. I see another door ding right here. I would have definitely taken care of those. This black wheel is not my cup of tea, but to each their own. Here's a photo with a pretty bad filter on it. This one looks better. Color's got a lot of pearl to it. It's hard to say if it's correct. It's been a while since I've seen one in this color. It looks good to me. It's consistent. It definitely stands out. This person's got another XJ that's very, very similar. It looks like the same deal with black wheels. This one does retain its side cladding, it looks like, but it appears to have an aftermarket badge back there, and then these aftermarket taillights, which not my thing, but easy enough to remove. All these lights are a 20-minute job, half an hour to do all of them. Looks good from this angle. I'm not seeing any dents here. I take that back. There's one in the back door. A little bit of fitment issue in the front bumper here. Now you want to make sure these have been painted right, because these are plastic and they have a bit of flex built into them, so they need to have been done properly. The proper primer is critical. Here's a side view, that sport badge again. There's 4x4 badges. I think those are for the Cherokee that just went out of production. I believe it's the KL, the kind of alien looking one. Aftermarket tail lights, aftermarket badging on the back. This 4.0 is not a factory badge. This is not factory. Not hard stuff to rectify if you wanted to go back to stock, which I honestly think this Jeep deserves, but to each their own. Keep buzzing through here. These pictures were taken at a lot of different times of day, which is nice in a lot of ways. Gives you a feel for consistency and paint color here. It does have a really nice pearl to it. I think I see a dent on the hood, a couple of them, maybe some hail pings. Should have had this one, should have done paintless dent repair. That said, I'm not really seeing any overspray here. Yeah, it might be a little bit down there, hard to tell. But this is a common, they removed these screws. It's not hard to do, but a lot of people won't bother with that. There's that aftermarket, not a big fan there. These have been removed and replaced. I believe you can still buy these strips, I think. but just judging by the wear and the fact that they're a little wavy, they were removed and replaced, which is nice. Better to have them than not. Oh, no, never mind. I see them there. I thought they weren't there. Might see a little paint issue in the front here. Could just be a reflection. It's really shiny. This looks like fresh paint. Up close, we see some imperfections in the paint here and there. Prep work was probably not amazing on this. Oh boy. Well, I would have had that addressed. Especially while they were doing other. Really common rust spot here in this little lip. Water just pools in there. And it sits flush up against the door here, so it's a good spot. It's a last spot to dry. Yeah, I mean, this probably would have been some metal replacement in here. That looks pretty bad. This is all, you could have brushed that out and painted it. Not great though. Not something you want to see. Here it is on the passenger door, just as bad. If not actually worse. Yeah, it looks bad. It makes you wonder, let's see if there's better photos, it makes you wonder about right in, well, I guess it's rusty right in here too. It's a really common spot for them to rust, this little weld point. We've got two overlapping metals there. We see the wheel wells here. This is pretty black. I bet that's been painted. There are those tires, trying to see the size. 235/75, is that what it says? That is an oversized step-up tire. 225/75 was standard. These wheels, I believe, are a different back spacing. They're the right bolt pattern, but a different back spacing than stock, so they always stick out a little bit too much to me. Never really liked the way they look. Let's see here. We've got aftermarket shocks, OE Spectrum. That's an inexpensive shock. I see what looks like some rust sitting right here. They've painted right over. I'd want a detailed picture of that. Yeah, a lot of things I'm not blown away with here. The wheels have been painted. There's a little bit of orange peel on them, but that looks pretty good overall. That's a fairly knobby tire. Looks good. That's a pretty useless photo. Let's see here. We'll keep buzzing through. Yeah, these are pretty bad. Alright, seats look pretty clean. The vinyl on the outside of the seat looks nice. This is a vertical picture, which is always annoying to me. BAT displays in a 16:9, so you should shoot them that way. Seat belts are pretty clean. They tend to get kind of grody here. These don't look bad. They just get stuck in the door because the retractors are slow. Instrument cluster, I see the needles should be orange. They're not, so they have faded, which is definitely a sign that the paint was probably quite faded. There's definitely an aftermarket headliner. I can tell it just doesn't quite look right. And those sun visors are definitely been recovered too. They should have the warning labels. Should have been map lights here, but I think 97, I don't think those were standard. I have a brochure in front of me here. Yeah, so this does not have the light group, which would have had a map and dome light, courtesy under instrument panel light, cargo area and engine lamps, headlight delay, and dual illuminated vanity mirrors. So this is a pretty basic Sport when it was new. I mean, we could tell by the crank windows it wasn't a well-equipped one, but it's that same picture that was in the listing. I see some floor mats in there that actually look, they could be stock, hard to tell. This person's into Jeeps. That looks, well, I'm assuming that tailgate looks like an MJ, but that bumper is not. I don't know MJs all that well. It might be. Looks nice though. This is pretty clean inside. I don't really see any obvious staining anywhere. Looks nice. Really, really, really clean. Actually, inside is better than outside. Really nice. That's a nice picture. It's been really cleaned out well. Yeah, this looks good. I see a cigarette lighter there, so this probably should have an ashtray in the little bin there. So it all looks nice. Yeah, I think these are aftermarket floor mats. They shouldn't have the rubber on them on the outside. See a bit of rust on the bolts here. That's typical for just moisture from muddy boots and whatnot. So this is correct for a base XJ, just to have this light right there, and that's it. It does have the sound bar here. It was a 97, I believe 97 only for the update. I think that was a carryover from the 96 model year, that particular. Later they were integrated into the headliner. Nicely vacuumed here, really clean back seat. That's really nice inside. This interior this color can show more dirt than any of the darker grays. This is really clean under here. All the spare tire bits. They're changing bits. See some rust right here. I hope we get better pictures, but we only got 30 to go, so I'm thinking it may not be the case. See a bit of rust on that door there. Boy, that rust on the bottom of the doors, that's not going to help here. Full-size spare with a correct color match cover, that's nice. Hard to find that light gray in a full-size spare, probably the least common spare tire cover. Really clean back here. You can see that there was a mat back here at some point. Maybe it's still included. So it looks nice. There's some rust on the tailgate there, which I thought had been repaired. I'd like to see some close-ups here, because this does not look good to me. Definitely something you'd want to ask for. Scuffs here. These look like aftermarket speaker covers. I don't think that's correct. Let's see here. That aftermarket headliner is pretty lumpy. That might have been, I don't remember if the listing said that the current owner did it or if it was done earlier, so it may just be an older aftermarket headliner. They took out the spare. You can see where it's left some marks there, but not a big deal. Alright, under hood has been super detailed. I mean, it should be grimy here. That's not at all, so that's nice. I mean, I like to see engines that are a bit dirty, but this still looks good. This paint fade here is normal. I think that they just got a really thin coat. This rust is also common right up here in the header, unfortunately. See some light rust on some of the fasteners and bolts, clips. Not real bad, actually. Not as bad as I would have expected given the bottoms of those doors. Such a shame. This is a 97, so it's got a distributor right over in there. No ABS, which would be there. Not that common on these. It does look like fresh brake fluid. You can see a bit of rust on the brake lines there, but not that uncommon. Alright, underneath we've got some blue writing here. I don't know if that's factory. Can't recall having seen that. Put the blue bushings in, which I think are the Moog, however you say that. It does not really look like the frame sway bar bushing has been done. Here's our transmission cooler line, which has been replaced. Yeah, I see there's the blue bushing on this one too. These are new bits right in here. That all looks new. This does not look new, but it does look like it's been replaced because it doesn't quite match. That's been replaced right in here. A lot of front end stuff that's been replaced. Probably drives well, if I had to guess. Wet under here, underneath the transmission. This is pretty rusty in here. Hope we get better pictures. Although with 12 to go, I'm not so sure. We'll see. Definitely, with this one has a lot of time left, so I would want to ask a lot more questions. Rusty brake line. I mean, it's rusty underneath, for sure. It's a lot of rust for 59,000 miles. I don't doubt the mileage based on the interior, but this might have been somebody's winter car, unfortunately. I mean, this is like, you should be doing something about some of these because these welds will just start to fail. Yeah, we can see it right under here too, where metal meets metal. They didn't do a great job undercoating these. So our factory 8 1/4 rear end, good rear end. Rear shocks did not get replaced. It's a shame. Those are about, given the quality of the front ones, these are about $25 for two of these, maybe $30, $40. And one bolt down here, two over the top. The two at the top, though, that's the problem. They can break. There are kits to replace them. It's a little thing that goes in there, but they are pretty easy to break, given how rusty they are on this vehicle. I can't see it, but I'm sure they're rusty. There's the VIN. Here's our info sticker. So somebody's done some, I noticed this earlier, I meant to point it out. This is the inside of the driver's side door. And this little tab right here suggests where somebody a while ago did paintless dent repair. This doesn't look very new, because it shouldn't be here. Not uncommon. It's nice they put a cap on it. Hopefully they put a little paint under there too. See some quite obvious overspray here on the sticker. I would have liked if they'd, well, not done that, or if they had done it, they would have cleaned it up. It was built on April 29th in the 7th hour in 1997, so relatively late 97. Here's the little build data sticker. Hard to get much information out of this. It mostly was used in the manufacturing process. You can get a build sheet on these though. Alright, we got some receipts. A few pages of them. Okay, there's our answer on the front differential. Used front differential with 355. Okay. Oh, here's our information. The front differential was completely rusted out where the springs mount. Front axle U-joints were worn. Both front spindles completely rusted out. Replace differential, replace other needed front parts. Swap over the new front brake parts. Huh. Wow, you don't get a lot of front axles that had to be replaced. That's a lot of work. Yeah, I mean, to the tune of $3,000. They also, and this was just on in June, it's about a little over 2 months ago now. AC, pretty simple there. Assuming it's still working is probably a good sign because that was 2 months ago. I'd want confirmation. There's the rear brakes, that's a fairly minor service. They mount and balance 4 tires on different rims, so wheels. Transition cooler hoses, doesn't say why, but and check transmission fluid, looks new. So it was just a leak, not that big of a deal. Front end alignment. And there's our list of parts, nothing I see strange there, but wow. Boy, they overcharged on those shocks. I get the dealer markup, or the service department markup, but $77. I'd be willing to bet if I went to Rock Auto that these are $15 a piece. The end links there are, it's been a while since I looked, but I doubt they're more than $15 or $20 each. These are pretty hefty markups. Steering stablers, again, probably a $20 unit. These were cheap ones put on here. They'll be fine, but yeah, and same with all the brake parts here. There's a hefty markup on all these. Still, hey, somebody did it. They replaced the muffler, the tailpipe. I actually didn't really notice that. Well, no, this is back last fall. I have to admit, I didn't really notice that. Oh, interesting. So this is where this answers my question about the headliner. This was done under current ownership, but when they removed it, they also insulated it. This is easy to do when the headliner's out. I wouldn't bother dropping a headliner just to do this, but if you got to do a headliner anyway, these are it's probably $30 worth of insulation. You just roll it on there. It's quite simple. Best to do when it's warm. Well, you really need to do it when it's warm. You don't want to just do an ice cold car in the middle of winter, but you can with a heat gun. But it's easier on a hot day. Just sit in there, put it all on, roll it on, and it'll make the vehicle significantly quieter. It does a huge job in reducing that thundery sound. And we got 2 factory keys. This is probably, just given how old this is probably from the original selling dealer. Interestingly enough, this is the key that looks like it was used more. This one looks like it's been barely used, so it probably was moved, but that's our last photo. Alright, currently no bidding on this. I will let you know at the end of this auction how it does. But overall, I don't pass full judgment on these, but if you live somewhere where rust is typical, I mean, this is not debilitating rust on this vehicle. I definitely would budget some time on a lift with some POR 15 and just, go to town on the thing, prep and clean and then paint. You'll get a lot more life out of it that way. If you live somewhere dry, if you're looking to take this to, the Inland Empire or somewhere like that, this is probably not the vehicle for you unless you really like the color. But that rust, it will spread slowly in a dry climate, but it'll still always be there. Personally, I would take this back to stock. I'd put stock lighting on it, not a big deal. I would pull off that windshield tint. It's hard to tell how bad that is, but I'd still take it off. And I'd go back to stock wheels. These don't look great to me. They're not my style personally. I'd also go stock badging. I think would look great. That silver badging, even if you didn't put the molding back on, because it's very hard to find that molding, that plastic molding that goes on the side of these. That's long not available. Anyway, thanks for watching. Please like this video. Please share it. Please subscribe. Please leave any comments. It's really critical that you subscribe to these videos because I will post these pretty often. And I'll do a lot of extras. These seem to be popular with you guys. All right, thanks as always.